Welcome to Human Potential at Work, the show where we explore social impact, inclusion, and empowerment of everyone, including persons with disabilities. Your host is Deborah Rue, CEO of Rue Global Impact, and co-founder and chairwoman of Billion Strong, an identity and empowerment organization designed to bring billions of voices of persons with disabilities together. To join the global community and to donate to the cause, visit billion-strong.org. That's billion-strong.org. And now, on to the episode.
Hello, everyone. My name is Deborah Rue, and this is Human Potential at Work. And we're recording this the day before the International Day of People with Disabilities. So we're so excited. So today, my guest is the CEO and founder of Positively Diverse, which I love the name of that company. And she also has a book, and it's called Strong in the Skin, I Am In, which I loved the power of that. And today, my guest is Joti Gata-Aura, which I believe I would like you to say it, please, Joti, because I have a feeling you're going to say it better than I did.
No, you did. You did very well, Deborah. It's Joti Gata-Aura.
Oh, very pretty. You have a beautiful accent. So where are you joining us from today?
I'm joining you today from London.
Yeah, I love all the decorations and the plant that's decorated and the reflection in the back. So with that, I guess we could do visual descriptions too. So I started yours, but I am an older woman with gray hair and purple streaks in it. And I'm all bundled up because I'm so cold. And I have a blue and green and purple shawl on today. And then, of course, behind me is a fake screen that says Billion Strong, because we're very proud to be creating Billion Strong. But Joti, let me turn it over to you.
Yes, of course. And I am Joti. I have got South Asian woman. I have got vitiligo on my... It's not very visible because I've got a bit of makeup on today, which I fancy putting on for our podcast, our recording. I have some droopy earrings, big brown eyes, a little bit of lipstick on my lips to give my face a glow. And I have I would say a spotted top on, which is actually quite summery, but doesn't really matter. That's not that important, is it?
That's wishful thinking that it's summery.
Behind me, like you said, Deborah, I've got my pot plant. My pot plant. It's a very tall pot plant with decoration, and you'll probably be able to see as my Christmas tree in the reflection of this recording.
It's very festive. It's a very festive. So Joti, tell us, you're young to have done a memoir, but tell us about it. Why did you write a memoir, and why do you think that your memoir could help other people?
So I'm 43 years old. I've struggled with the visual skin condition called vitiligo for the best part of 20 years. It's a condition that affects 1 to 3% of the population. And this condition took over my life over my 20s and 30s, during my 20s and 30s, of the prime time of my life, I would say. And it's only until very recently, in the last 5 years, where I've started to talk more openly about vitiligo and visual skin conditions, and highlight the importance of being unique and being confident in the skin you're in because of the difficulties that I was faced with during the time of vitiligo.
And Joti, don't worry about we know that people have animals in their homes and children, and so don't you worry about the dog wanting to join. So so you got this. We're fine. Everybody knows. Some of us
really
stress about that.
And so, really my memoir came during lockdown when I started journaling, and so many people were talking about journaling and writing down their thoughts and ideas and feelings of going down, through this lockdown process. And for me, it was very much a case of being able to write down my feelings and what I was going through. And I wanted to be able to share my story. And I didn't actually realize that I'd end up writing a book. And I didn't realize I would bring my story to life as such and share it with the world. But I then was invited by a writer who she's a number one Amazon bestseller. She's published some books. She said, "Would you like to take part in my book writing course?" And I jumped at the chance. And it was a 6-month process, and we were guided through the whole process and supported through the 6 months. And as someone who hasn't written a book before, it's my very first book, it was very much a learning curve, but it was very much a roller coaster of emotions writing that book, I have to say.
Yes, I have written 3 books, and I've really actually written 4, but I haven't published the last one. But it is a real big effort.
Yes.
It is a heavy lift. See, your dog is so funny. Your dog is like, Mom,
Coco.
Please, can I get on channel?
Yes, this is Coco. He's a brown English Spaniel mixed with poodle, and he's very loving. He's got these beautiful wavy ears and very endearing, and gets anything he wants. So that's Coco. He might join in at points of this.
We definitely realize that Coco wants to be part of this conversation. But your story reminds me a little bit of some of the efforts we see with facial differences. I had a wonderful man, James Patterson, on the show about a year ago. It's almost exactly about a year ago. And he was talking about he had gotten in a terrible car accident and burned a lot of his body. And so then he's dealing with that horror, but then he has to deal with society making fun of him, kids being scared of him, the Hollywood and Bollywood and others showcasing villains as people who have facial differences. Maybe not differences of color of the skin, but it's a big deal because people say, oh, wear this lotion. I talked about this in my book, Inclusion Branding. Wear this lotion as an Asian woman because it's going to make your skin lighter. And that's why she's such a successful actress. I just really totally disagree with that. She's a successful actress because she's a successful actress, and she's a talented actress, not because of the color of her skin. So I just think at a time when people might say to you, why don't you just put on some foundation and cover it up and hide who you are? Yeah, I just love that you're standing up and saying, no, I really am good with this. And why do you think it's so? How do you change society's mind? But also, Joti, how do you change your own mind about what society is thinking or saying?
It's very difficult to change society's mind. And the way that I've done it is through really sharing my story and what I've gone through on my platform, the variety of different platforms I have, and also interviewing and talking to different people who have gone through challenging experiences with their visual condition or their disability, and really highlighting it and showcasing it and talking about it really openly and raising awareness. And I know through my community here in London, many people didn't know what vitiligo was because I hid it for many years.
Right.
And only when I started talking about it and dealing with it in a very open way did people then start, reciprocating and asking questions and wanting to know about it, because I was more open about it.
Right.
And I think that even at my children's school, I've had some children that will ask me, what's that on your hand? Because I don't wear makeup on the school run. I don't actually wear makeup. I fancied putting some on today for the discussion I'm having with you, but I usually don't wear makeup. And you'll see on the variety of different platforms I have, I very rarely wear makeup. I'm very confident in the skin that I'm in.
Good.
Again, that's a question for another time, because this conversation does arise when people say, why are you wearing makeup? And actually, when I didn't have vitiligo, before I was 21 years old, I would wear makeup when I was going out or going for an interview or going out for a special occasion. It's nothing different by me wearing makeup if I'm going to a party. You want to dress up and you want to feel good. So actually, I use it for different reasons now. I don't use it to hide my skin. I use it just because it feels good. Whereas before I used it to completely cover up my skin because I didn't want anyone to see it, because of how I thought society would perceive me as someone ugly or not good enough, or someone that wouldn't fit into that category, being someone who was associated as or deemed as normal. And I have to be really honest here, Deborah, there are still people around me in my, I would say, community, some school mums, and I know people must be thinking, what's happened to her? Because they don't know about it. And I'm not someone that's going to go up to them and start saying, this is go. If they want to know about it, they can come and ask me, and I'm very open about it. But I'm actually instilling that strength in my children, because I really think fundamentally, if they know what it is and their friends ask them, and the parents go back and say, oh, what's that on your friend's mum's hand? They can then go back and say, oh, she's got a skin condition called vitiligo, mum. Right. And that's it. And that's it. Yes. So if I start instilling my children with this type of mentality, they're going to spread that. And
Right.
that's what they're doing already. And that's how I'm actually trying to change society's mindset, to change society about people that look different, essentially. And I can't change the world. I can't change everybody's way of thinking, nor can I go up to random people and tell them about it. What I can do is make the people aware about it that are around me so that they start spreading awareness. And that's what I've been doing.
And is this something that Michael Jackson had? Because
Yes.
okay, that's what I would assume, but I never knew the name of it. And what's fascinating about it is that I think you're absolutely beautiful. And even if you weren't beautiful, I don't know what difference it makes that your skin is, you have, I just don't even understand. Because when I look at you, I see so much about who you are. But I imagine people, I never thought about it from the disfigurement, acid burns. I had to be introduced to that because I never thought about it. And so then you're introducing me to your walk, but I would also think, I think about people that have birthmarks, like Weinstein birthmarks on their face. One of my daughters has a really big one on his face, and people give him a really hard time about it. He is a man with intellectual disabilities, but it's like, what is wrong with you? We are a billion different people. I don't, billions of people. So I don't understand why we do this. But at the same time, we have to have leaders like you step out and talk about this, because we're so uneducated that we don't even know what that is. And so I'm really glad that you are proud that you, and you're willing to step up and say, what are we doing? This doesn't make any sense.
And I think that the really important thing is, like I said before, sharing it with the community and people that I'm with. And prior to going into presenting, I was working in secondary education for 17 years. I was head of Spanish at a girls' school here in West London. And I loved the job that I did. And I found over the years, when school realised that I was talking about this openly, I did a couple of things for radio and TV here. When they realised I'd done these things, they were like, you need to take this on board and lead our girls and lead our community, and let's get going with this. And they were fantastic in putting me on that pedestal, lead on this Assembly for Mental Health Week. And I did it for 3 years and I absolutely loved it, Deborah. And you know what really got to me? The amount of issues that our young people are dealing with that don't have visual disabilities, that don't have visual conditions, that don't have anything that's necessarily massive affecting them in their lives, but yet they are struggling with just finding that confidence. And so for someone like me, for them to see their teacher covering up with makeup, but then not showing herself with makeup and standing up and delivering these motivational talks was just so empowering and so enlightening. And it is something that I actually really miss doing, and something that I'm trying to incorporate within my business and still go out to schools, because I feel like we could make such a big impact with young people today.
Because they're listening. I agree. And we are hoping that you will do a masterclass for us at Billion Strong, and also some courses for us, because we really want to make sure that people know these conversations are happening. We definitely want you to get involved with Billion Strong.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I would love to be involved.
Yes, it's just so important. But have you ever done speeches you said you were doing it for the schools, and I agree. Let's get to the young people. But I also think this is a very important topic for employers, corporate employers, bringing you in to talk about it. And because once again, as we really dig into what does it mean to truly be human, really dig into what it means. What if I am a woman and I'm bald? One of somebody that we love dearly, her and her sister, several of her sisters, they're bald, and they're gorgeous women. It's in a way the same thing. Is it okay to be who we are? What if I have a lazy eye, or, the way we choose to discriminate and hurt each other is always amazing to me. I know I saw a law here in my state, in the United States, Virginia, where our governor at the time had passed a law where we could not discriminate against people's hair. And I'm like, what? A lot of African-American women, now I struggle with my curly hair all the time, but really struggle with it. And they were being discriminated against. because of their hair. And it's like, why? It's just amazing to me. So I think it's very important that we own our own lives and talk about who we are and why it matters. And that's one reason why I noticed your work. I noticed your work and I thought, well, I love the way you're talking about it and the way you are introducing the topic so that people can understand, oh, I see myself in this story, which is what we want to do.
And going back to your point of employers, it's about, if you want to have an employer, and this is another angle and approach of Positively Diverse, is being able to go in and do talks for companies, because I understand that there is a huge misunderstanding that in terms of employment, when people are at work, people are judging you based on your ability and your performance, but how people feel within themselves impacts on the way that they're working, impacts hugely on their performance. And if they're not feeling valued as someone, they're not feeling part of a community because of the way they look, and they're feeling isolated because of that, there is a huge amount of work for work employees and companies and businesses to make a difference. And I think that employees need to really reach out and have a think about how they are making sure that there is more representation, that they're talking about more inclusive topics and supporting people. And that's where I'd like to step in and be able to offer that support to companies, because I think that very often this is completely ignored or dismissed.
I agree. No, completely ignored. And you're addressing a really important nuance of this topic that impacts a lot of people, because people get the same treatment when they have a mole on their face in the wrong place. And I don't know, probably, even though it's self-administered, probably you get this kind of reaction when you have tattoos. My son's a big tattoo person, and he always said to me, because I was arguing with him about it, but Mom, I'm not going to put it on my neck and I won't put it on my face. And I was like, okay, I'll take it. But he has some beautiful tattoos, but I see people judging him. Not as much. I think society's waking up, but I remember seeing a commercial where this man, they showed the man and he had a lot of tattoos. He was a really big man and he did look a little intimidating just looking at the picture. And then they showed the man again, and he was actually wearing nurse scrubs. He was a medical professional, and they said, would you let him? And of course I would. So it was like, you cannot judge each other by some discoloration on your skin, but we do.
And it's interesting. And Deborah, just like you said, it's really interesting because there was a conversation that kind of came up a few weeks ago that I'd seen someone post, and it said, are we all guilty of being a little bit judgmental? Are we all guilty of doing that?
Yes.
Who doesn't put their hand on their heart? Who can say, right, honestly, I've never judged? Because I know I'll look around, I'll see different people, and I'll have these thoughts, these very quick thoughts that will go in and out my head. But they're still thoughts of judging someone, but they're not thoughts, negative thoughts. That I suppose sometimes it's curiosity, what someone's background. So I think there's a slight difference. You can judge someone by wondering, oh, I wonder what they do. Wow, they're very well dressed. I wonder what job they do. That kind of thing, a curiosity. But then there's also that, what is that white patch on her face? Gosh, she looks a little bit ugly with it. I wonder why she's got that one on that side. And I'm sure that there have been people that have had those thoughts when they've seen my vitiligo, because it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea, and not everyone's going to think it's attractive, and not everyone's going to think it's a beautiful thing to have. It took me 21 years. I could hardly look at myself once upon a time. So
it's terrible. And so like you said, I loved what you said about if we're struggling with our self-esteem, it really does impact us as employees. It impacts our innovation. It impacts our creativity. I know that recently we've had some major losses in my family too. I just was having a hard time bringing thoughts in my head, remembering what I was saying. And so it's very stressful to be judged like that and judged. And we can tell when we're being judged too. We might not know why we're getting a weird feeling, but I don't know. We really need to rethink all of these things. And once again, I think it's so important for employers to bring in speakers like Joti, because we need to talk about it, all the different topics. We need to talk about it from the perspective of if I'm blind, or if I'm vision impaired, or I have vision loss, or I'm deaf, or heart, all of the different ones. But I think there's an especially important reason that we talk about it from the lens you're talking about it, because you are talking about the hidden and the invisible disabilities that we know is at least 80% of our community. And we know the numbers are grossly underestimated. And people don't even think about this as one of our topics, don't you think?
They don't think about it. And I think with vitiligo, because it's visual, some people might think, actually, what's the big issue? And that's exactly what the government think here in the UK. What's a big issue? Hence why there hasn't been enough money pumped into finding a treatment, because it's last on their priority list.
Right.
You know, you can still walk and talk, and you can still go to work. You've got your legs, you've got your arms. What's the issue? And I think the saddest thing is that if they really speak to people who are struggling with vitiligo, it's psychologically tormenting and breaking people inside.
It is.
It's ripping them apart. It's ruining their lives. It's ruining their relationships. It's ruining their world of work. It's ruining every aspect around them. And I think a lot of people have struggled with that. And I think it's really important to highlight that whilst I'm sitting here really confident talking to you, only just a few years ago, I wouldn't even set out foot outside my house without makeup on and long sleeve clothing and making sure no one saw one little dot.
I don't want anybody to think I'm not attractive. Yeah. And I think we need to do an entire conference just on these topics. It's a really important topic that's being ignored. And so I'm going to do my part to make sure Joti's being invited to speeches and stuff. But I really highly recommend that you buy her book. Remember, buy her book. Please do the review, because reviews are the things that get it. Thank you. Yes. And I love the cover. Love the cover.
Thank you.
Reviews help with the ranking. So it's very important to do the reviews. And we also will send a link and everything to her book and her website. But I do really appreciate your work. And that's one reason why we're so honored that you're going to support Billion Strong with what you're doing.
Absolutely. I think our values align. I'm really happy to support you in any way I can, Deborah. And I'm very grateful for the opportunity that you've given me today to be able to share the work that I'm doing, the book that I've written, and the things that we've talked about today that really need to be highlighted. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And Joti, does your company offer any other services that we haven't talked about?
Like I do the company talks, employee talks, school workshops, and I am also a presenter as well. So if anybody needs some hosts or a presenter to talk about these topics of visual differences, please do get in touch with me on my website link that I will share with Deborah.
Yes. And also tell us your website and tell us your social media handles.
Of course. Thank you, Deborah. It's www.positivelydiverse.co.uk. And I am positively diverse across YouTube, Instagram and Facebook.
Good. Yeah. Very important for branding. So I really appreciate your work. And we actually are going to involve you in some of these conversations, because I don't hear anybody else. Maybe other people are talking about it, but I'm not seeing it.
Wow.
We need to be talking about it to our community. So we really appreciate your work. We really do.
Thank you, Deborah. Very excited to be working with you. Looking forward to the new year and looking where I can help and support you as well as an organization. I love the work that you're doing. It's very inspiring, and you're really talking about the topics that have to be addressed.
I agree. And we're all stronger together. So thank you. And so check out Joti's work, but you're definitely going to see her more because we really love what she's doing, and we'll continue to highlight it. So thank you, Joti, and happy International Day of Persons with Disability, December 3rd.
Thank you. And likewise.
Yes, it's exciting.
Big day.
Yes. And happy holidays to you too.
Happy holidays, Deborah.
All right. And so thank you, Joti. And we will continue the conversation. You keep changing the world.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to Human Potential at Work. To learn more about Rue Global Impact, visit rueglobal.com. And to learn more about Billion Strong, an identity and empowerment organization designed to bring the billions of voices of persons with disabilities together, you can join the global community and donate at billion-strong.org. That's billion-strong.org.